Now the DI is completed, we need to record that in the DI book. And in this lesson, I'll show you how we do that. The daily inspection record is normally kept in the glider somewhere, and it will look like the picture on your screen. If you open the book up, you'll find that details of the glider, including when things like the insurance and the ARC expire, are written on the inside cover, and this is very helpful so that you can just double check and make sure that nothing has actually run out. There is also a set of instructions within the book, and they explain where the responsibilities lie for the daily inspection and also how to complete the book. So when we look at the instructions on using the book here, it's just one page and it's well worth reading. Very often we find that the DI books aren't perfectly kept, which is a reflection on our inability to just follow instructions. Further into the book, you'll also see that there is some advice on how to conduct the DI. But what you should understand by now is we can't write a definitive list, but we can show an orderly and methodical route around the aircraft so that you're less likely to miss something. The inner part of the book, you've got some sheets looking like this one, and they are individual lines to record individual daily inspections or work done undertaken to the glider. If we look at the heading right at the top, you can see half a dozen columns or so, and they need to be filled in correctly after you've completed the daily inspection. Starting at the left-hand side, the day and the date. Make sure we put both in, so it's the day of the week, in our example Monday, and the date. The work done is, in this case, a daily inspection. Any minor work done to the glider, for instance, pumping a tyre up or rigging it, can be entered in this column, but any major work will be entered elsewhere. Minor defects mean that the glider is airworthy, but these things will need attention at some time. So there might be some paint lifted on it and some exposed wood, for instance, which isn't good. It's not good for the timber, and over time that will cause further problems. So in that column there, that minor defect might be recorded to highlight the fact that work has some outstanding work has to be done to pull the aircraft back into good order. If you haven't got anything to write in this list, then write none, N-O-N-E. If for any reason the aircraft is unserviceable, then write the reason in this column, or otherwise write none. And typically we can have quite minor reasons, like the tyre is flat. Well, if the tyre is flat, it's not serviceable. Put flat tyre in that column, and then that keeps a really good, neat record for future use. Any more major work will be recorded by the inspector or the club, if it's a club aircraft you're flying, on Form 205, and that stays with the logbook. And to understand what you need to put on Form 205, if you find yourself entering data on those, then go and talk to an inspector and get some advice. The next columns on the DI book are fuel and oil, and that's generally not applicable for club gliders, of course, because we don't use fuel or oil normally in club two-seaters. However, some motor gliders will. So if it's not applicable, then write not applicable in that column, and abbreviating that to N/A is fine. The next column is a record of, is the aircraft serviceable or is it unserviceable? So if it's serviceable, simply placing an S in that column It records the fact that you're satisfied that the aircraft is serviceable and can be flown. If it, for some reason, it's unserviceable, then you write U/S, unserviceable, in that column. If you're going to do that, do something else as well to make sure that that aircraft doesn't get flown. So a big label in the cockpit is a good idea as a double whammy to make sure that the plane doesn't get flown until that's been rectified. Finally, the final column is name and initials, and put both in. Now, this isn't a legal thing where a barrister is going to come chasing after you at some stage, but we do need to know who completed the daily inspection, if for no other reason than an inspector might like to talk to you about any comments you've made or in the DI itself. Here is an example of a real daily inspection record book, and you can see that part of the way down this page, the aircraft was made unserviceable. There was some damage to the wing. So it was marked US in the serviceable or unserviceable column, and the reason for it was given in the reason for unserviceability column. So dead simple. So in summary, one, write clearly so that people can read what you've actually written. Follow the instructions in the book. Get advice if you need it. Don't be frightened to do that. Record all minor work in the DI book. If for some reason you make the aircraft unserviceable, then please make sure that you do something robust to ensure other people don't fly it. If you're a trainee, then you can practice this, and you can practice making the entries in the DI book as well, but make sure it is countersigned by your instructor. That's it. See you next time.